Our next presenter is Michele Yamazaki. She is engaged to our very own Dan Terpstra, who you met at the beginning of the show. He tells me she's the brains of the operation. So, all right. David confirms. Apparently they're planning a honeymoon to Italy, was it? Italy? Which is cool. I think there's a common thread among all the presenters here, which is they're traveling to a lot of places that I've never been, and I'm really jealous. So somebody take me with you, please. Anyway, she's going to talk about sleep paralysis. Welcome her to the stage.
All right, that seems about right. You guys over here want to sit up front? No? All right, so today I'm going to talk to you all about sleep paralysis. Have you heard of it? Have you ever experienced it? All right, it's freaky. Let me tell you, it's freaky. He just mentioned we're planning a honeymoon in Italy. Well, this was my second marriage. My first marriage, we went on a 1-month-long honeymoon to Hawaii, Japan, and Thailand. I married a Japanese guy first time around, and we were gone for a month. And as you can imagine, that such a long stretch of time in another part of the world will screw up your sleep cycles like you can't possibly imagine. Well, one of the problems with that can happen to some people who are under stress and under strange sleep patterns is that as you're falling asleep, you can experience this thing called sleep paralysis, and I'll have some graphs in that later on. But it's been documented over the years. Here's some art from hundreds of years ago, and it's in all sorts of cultures all over the world. I'm not alone in this, so don't think that I'm some strange girl who sees ghosts or anything. But let me tell you a few of my experiences to give you a little idea what it is, and you might think, oh my gosh, that's happened to me. So imagine you're falling asleep, and then you're still awake, and suddenly you hear a weird noise. You hear scratching at your window or a big slam. Or maybe there's a shadow in the corner of a person or someone in your window, looking in your window, and you can't move. You're just absolutely paralyzed. And you want to scream, but you can't scream, and you can move your eyes around, and you just can't get up, you can't scream, and you're just trapped. It's like you're bound to your bed. And I've had a few experiences. I gave myself a few notes here. I've seen something in the corner. Another time I was in Chicago, and we're in a hotel room, and it was happening to me over and over again. Right after I got married was a bit of a stressful time. I never lived with my husband beforehand, and it was just a strange adjustment, and cultural things, being married to someone from Japan, all showed up, and it was a little bit stressful. So some of the things that people experience who experience sleep paralysis are going through a stressful time in their life. So not only did I have crazy sleep cycles, but I had stress. And so we're in this hotel room, and I kept seeing this ghost in the corner, and it was coming in, and it was freaking me out. I couldn't wake up, and I was like, "Arr!" So I watched some videos on YouTube of different people having sleep paralysis, and basically it looks like they're sleeping. It doesn't look like anything. You might see them kind of like jiggling a little bit, but in my head, when it's happening, I'm screaming. I'm trying to scream, and I'm like, but my mouth won't open, and nothing is happening, and I'm trying to shake and everything, and it's just nothing is working, and then I'll finally snap out of it. So people see all sorts of things. I saw another thing is a ghost dog in my hotel room. I don't know why, but it was a big growling dog that kept coming up to me. And sometimes when it happens, it'll happen repetitively over and over in the same night. I'll have it 4 times, and I'm afraid to go to sleep because of it. So 6.2% of the population has this. So if it's not, there's probably 80 people in here. I can't be the only one, right? Anyway, let me tell you a couple of other stories. When we were in Thailand, actually on the honeymoon, we stayed at this kind of it was called Koh Samet. It's not Koh Samui, different island. Koh Samet is mostly Thai people go to this island, and we stayed in this little bungalow type cabin, and they didn't have power at night, and the water was only on certain amounts of during the day. And this didn't sit well for my ex-husband. He's from Japan, and he likes things very tidy and fancy, So this was really kind of a lower standard. And he got really, really sick on the food there, too. So he was up over and over in the night, just getting really sick. And I'm dozing off. They had separate beds for us, too, which was funny for a honeymoon. And I saw this girl, the girl who ran the hotel with her mother. She was probably like 14 years old. She was kneeling by his bed, taking care of him. And it was the strangest thing. And so not every single entity that I see during these are evil. She was kind of the exception. Anyway, here's a little graph, if you caught that, about when it occurs. You go into, when you're falling asleep, you have several cycles of REM sleep. This is kind of the pattern that the average human goes through. And just as you're falling asleep and hitting REM sleep, your body will shut off all its muscles so that you don't act out your dreams. And it's during that time, if you ever have sleep paralysis episode, that your body is asleep, but your mind is still awake. Your brain hasn't totally gone into that sleep zone, but you're kind of in that sleep zone. So you have these wild hallucinations, and they're often pretty evil. So I was looking on YouTube to see other people's experiences, and they're talking about them and in forums and that kind of thing. And they're all like, you need to go see a Catholic priest, and you need an exorcism, and it's demons, and like these people who seem completely sane are saying it's demons. It's not demons. It's not ghosts. It's a scientific thing that happens to some people, and it's unfortunate because it's really scary. You can't even imagine how terrifying it is, because it seems completely logical that there's a boogeyman under your bed or in the corner. It seems logical, and it makes total sense. I'm sure you've woken up from a dream before and you're freaked out. That's how it is. So luckily, it doesn't happen to me too much these days. I'm getting enough sleep, and I'm trying to avoid wacky sleep patterns these days, but we are planning a honeymoon to Italy, so I'm sure I'll have some jet lag there. And I'm getting regular exercise as well. But those are things that you can do to minimize the effects of sleep paralysis, or minimize it from happening, I should say. And sleep paralysis can bring you into lucid dreams. If you know about lucid dreaming, it's basically you can control your dreams. You're awake in your dreams, and you can take over, and it's pretty cool. It only happened to me a couple of times, but the idea is you have to realize that you're asleep, and that's the tough part. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle. Keep it going for Michelle.